on, we have my buddy coming in. I got to introduce him very well because if I don't, he won't help me out. Okay. Yeah, I like to have fun. Y'all know that. If you've been following me for a while, it's not telling what comes out of my mouth, but I love to have fun. But again, thank you, my lady.
Thank you.
I enjoyed you, and we will definitely be in touch. I would actually like to have you on again, maybe as a co-host. Hint, hint.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to transition before I bring my man on. You all please keep sharing. Let people know we're still on. We did not stop, and going to show you the website again because we really need you all to go to our website and start subscribing to our newsletter. Thank you all, and then we're going to have Tony on soon. All right, everyone. Again, thank you for tuning in. If you have just came on, I see the numbers jump a little bit. We just talked to Dr. Tilda Whitaker Bailey. I am about to bring on someone. I have, like I said, if you heard me earlier, I have to be careful because this person is my publicist. Who would have thought? Who does stuff like this? Okay, again, I'm Sinead. Those who know me, I really do stuff like out the box. I have to say hello to this person also. She will be on in a few weeks too. Dr. Regina, who is also my mental health coach. Y'all, I have a mental health. Everybody got my mental health coach here and my publicist. That's how much help I need, y'all. Okay. But thank you, Dr. Regina, for coming on, tuning in. She will be here soon as well. But before I bring Tony on, I just want to do an intro before he gets on, and then we're going to have a conversation, and then I'm going to leave the floor so he can also encourage you all as well. All right.
It's time for another edition of RRM Unscripted. I am Tony Cotillo, CEO and founder of Rise and React Media, publicist and consultant when it comes to media and PR. And today we're going to talk about broken links. Now, one thing that annoys me to no end is when I go to visit a potential client's website or anybody's website for that matter, and I go to click on either a past interview or a past placement, and I get the dreaded 404 error. It's something that cannot happen. It just can't. If you want to be credible and you want to be taken seriously, those broken links have to disappear, which is why website maintenance is so important. Social media maintenance is so important. You have to realize that the sites and platforms that your interviews are recorded on have a special amount of bandwidth. Eventually, that bandwidth will go away. So eventually, your interview will become overwritten by another interview or another piece of content. So that's what you need to understand, which is why you always have to go back to your past interviews and make sure that they're still there. And if they're not, you need to make sure somehow, some way, you make them your own. And that's on another episode of RM
Work. It was just handled very poorly, right?
Exactly. I mean, you have guys that we could have needed so much. Guys like Mikal Bridges, right? I mean, we still jump through loops over what that trade was. I have no idea. Yeah, guys like Charles Bassey that are developing in San Antonio, Isaiah Joe. We've had these guys, and we just traded them away, Jason.
So let me ask you this. So you're Daryl Morey, okay? We're putting you in the president's chair. Next year, does Harden come back?
I'll be honest with you. I hope not.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We listen. We can't pay this guy. We can't. Unfortunately, it's a love-hate relationship, right? We know that he can help us, but what we saw is he's absolutely downgraded his game a little bit, and he's going to get paid an astronomical amount of money. That's going to hamstring us going forward. So I think we have to find another direction. What that is, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Hello.
I love it. That was nice. I like that.
You said it was nice. Okay, now I'm happy. Okay, I
I
got
like that. I like
Tony
that.
like this. You all probably, why is she reacting like this? If you don't know, you're gonna know. Tony Cotillo is actually my publicist. Okay, who interviews their own me? Okay, like I said, everybody has a story to share. He definitely has a story of resilience. So I had to have him on here. I love it. He is from Philadelphia. Okay. And everything that you saw is just a snippet of the things that he do. But I am not going to say too much right now. I'm going to actually let him just give you a brief summary of what he does, and then I'm going to go ahead and ask him a few questions, and then I'm going to step aside just like you saw with Dr. Tilda, and just have him have a moment to encourage you all, those of you who just need a little bit of encouragement. This man right here definitely has a story to share, and I know you will be encouraged. So Tony, just a little bit. We saw two different things. We saw you talking about, websites and stuff. Then we saw you talking about sports. So what's going on here? Let the audience know, like, who is Tony Cotillo? Because look like you're doing a little too much.
Well, listen, you always learn as you become a professional that you should have various income streams. And when you do that, it really helps your experience. And I've always been a sports fan. I started as a sports fan. And actually, that's how I got into PR. So that'll be the story for later about, I never thought I was going to be in this line of work, but I was able to leverage my sports relationships to develop more of a media presence. And that's a lesson for anybody out there that's a sports talk host, whether they're a podcaster. You're not going to get the opportunities as being a podcaster, but you will get the opportunities as being a media pro. So develop your media resume and then use your sports resume to create the media relations. And that's kind of how it all works. And that's why, I found a good marriage, because I was like, listen, I want to do sports. That's my passion, but my employment is PR. So how do I marriage the two together? And honestly, they marry together very, very well. So they're like a 50-year-old married couple. You know what I mean? I mean, they really go together. There's always something to talk about. There's always something in the news. And it just allows you to create multiple relationships on so many different levels. So yeah, during the day, publicist, at night, sports talk radio host, and on the weekends as well. So try to manage both things, but it's fun. It's fun.
Now, how do you manage all that? Because you're also a father and a husband. You knew that was coming up.
Listen, my
PR during the day, so where's family and all that coming in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you really, really have to stay grounded through this whole process. And it was a work. It's not easy, right? There's been multiple discussions from the wife to say you need to turn it off. Like I know, and it's not easy as an entrepreneur. It is not easy to turn it off. It could be 2 a.m. It could be 5 in the afternoon. It doesn't matter. You're always thinking of the next step, and if you're not, you're doing it wrong. So, I would always take signals and I would take hints from, my kids. My kids are 16, 18, and 23. So it's not that they can't fend for themselves, but I still like to be involved. Even I treat my 23-year-old like she's 10. It's just, I mean, it's my only girl. She's my princess. She's my homeboy. I mean, it is what it is. We do everything together. So I continue that way, right? But when she tells me, or my boys tell me, like, Dad, can we do that? You've been really busy lately. I got to learn how to just be like, you know what? You're right. Let me just throw all that out for a couple minutes, what we need to do. And whether it's going out to get something to eat, whether it's going to see a movie, even if it's just going to a store, hanging out, talking stories. So it's, I've learned to give myself breaks throughout the day and know I cannot work from 7 a.m. till midnight. Right. So it's like, because I also coach too. I'm a youth sports coach.
Yes.
I coach soccer. And that's helped me with relationships as well. But that's also my time out. So it's like, okay, I can't work because I have to go coach soccer and I get to spend, more time with my kids. And then I call them all my kids because I have 21, 17 and under boys that I coach. So yeah, it's a grind. It is. But you know what? I'd never change it for the world.
Love it. And we have Dr. Tilda, who was just on, and she said, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. I love that. Those of you who are just tuning in, we just finished interviewing Dr. Tilda, who you see on the screen, and now we have Tony Cotillo. I'm not being biased or anything, but This is my PR. So yes, we're having a moment here. This is my buddy. I've known him quite some time. So speaking of knowing you for quite some time, how did you even get into? And I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. Even get into being a PR. I know the story, but those who watch it, may not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love this story. Like I literally love telling it to new people because it gives people, something to say, I can do this because I started life very, very late when it comes to my profession, right? So I got started early, unfortunately, but like I said, she's 23, I'm 45, do the math, right? So, I had a daughter very, very young. Me and my wife were very young, but we just hit our 20-year anniversary last year. So we made it work, right? So we made it work. And it's always a struggle. Listen, it ain't perfect, right? Nothing's perfect, right? So I wanted to be a sports journalist, but if people know when you look into the sports industry, there's not a lot of money in it. And I don't say that you shouldn't do it, but I say when you're 22 years old and you're raising a 2-year-old, you got to make some money, right? Diapers cost, formula costs. You got to get, it costs money. So it was like, all right, I'm going to keep that as my passion, but I have to go to work. So I went to work. I worked shift work. I was a boiler engineer by trade, and I was working shift work. And it was about, I say it's all probably like 2 a.m. And it was before Twitter became really, really big. I was writing for a wrestling website, and I happened to answer a social media ad that was for a Tampa PR firm. The guy's name was Shannon Rose, and he just said, looking for entry-level elevator pitch writer. I had no idea what the hell an elevator pitch writer was, but I saw writer. And the funny thing is, Shannon used to be a ring announcer for one of the wrestling venues I used to write for. So I was like, interesting. Maybe this is a sign. I don't know. So I answered it. So Shannon got back to me again, 2:30 in the morning on a Saturday, because when you're PR, sometimes you don't shut it off. And he said, hey, send me a little resume. Okay. So I sent it over. So he said, do me a favor, read these 4 paragraphs and give me a summary. Okay. So I gave him a summary, and then he gave me something else, and he said, you know what? I'm going to bring you on. I said, okay. He's, I'm going to hire you to work like 5-10 hours a week. So long story short, he hired me to work 5-10 hours a week. So I did that while I was working my full-time job. But the secret is Shannon had muscular dystrophy. So Shannon couldn't use his arms. So everything he did was voice activated. So he had the connections, he had the pedigree, but he just couldn't do the work. So he needed somebody to be his right-hand person. And all he did was teach me the business, teach me the connections. And I was doing the day-to-day operations for Eclectic Media all the way up into 2019 to when he unfortunately passed away because he was on so many medications. It taxed his heart. And that was in July of 2019. And then I opened up Rise and React Media in August of 2019. I didn't think I was going to do it. But the thing was, a couple of my clients that are still clients now, Jennifer Fitzpatrick and Jordan Jenkins, were like, Tony, listen, you need to open your own PR company. I was like, I know nothing about running my own business. And they were like, but we'll come with you. We'll be your first clients. And I was like, you know what, Shanae? I was like, all right, you know what? This is what we're going to do. I told my wife, my mom, my dad, my sister-in-law, my daughter, I said, we're going to have a barbecue on Sunday. We're going to sit outside and we're going to brainstorm. I came up with the name, came up with the logo, came up with the mission statement. Dad does the books. Wife is the admin. Daughter was doing some of my emails. And that was August of 2019. And we just hit 4 years this year in 2023. So it's been a crazy ride, but it is definitely fun.
Yeah, you just obtained Crazy Shanae. Let me stop. Who was driving you nuts?
That's okay. Shanae's been driving me nuts for years. It's all right.
Anyway, so and like I said, I wanted you to share that story again because I love how you share it, because even when you talk about age, because sometimes people think, at a certain age, I can't do this. It's too late for me. And and I think who was it? Jelly Roll has said something in regards to that, like a couple weeks ago at the Country Music Awards, and it went viral and everything. Regardless of where you are in life, you still keep going. It doesn't matter. Age is what's the saying? Age is nothing but a number. We use it for other sayings, but again, it still goes back to just regardless. If you're supposed to do it, it'll happen. Timing is if you're still here on this earth, go for it. Okay,
Yes.
just go for it. So that's why I like when you share that story, because I think it encourages individuals who are a little older. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit back. I ain't accomplished this, so I'm good. I'm just gonna
Right,
sit back
exactly.
and
Never give up, man. It sounds cliche, but just keep knocking down your own doors. I say that all the time. Don't wait for somebody to come to you. You need to go to them. It's simple as that.
I love that. And Dr. Tilda having a good time. She's still on with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tilda. Again, I saw the numbers drop. If you're tuning in, please let us know that you're here. Let us know that you're here. Put something in the comments. Say hello. If you want to ask a question now, if you're into trying to get out there, hey, he's a publicist. Hint, hint, ask a question. I know this is about resilience, but I don't mind sharing. This is Shanae Shares. This is a resource. But I do want to transition a little bit, because again, this platform is talking about resilience. I know we could talk about branding and all that stuff all day, but I do want to talk a little bit about resilience, because again, you do have a story. So in a moment where you are in a dark place, what encouraged you just to say, hey, okay, I'm having a moment, which I'm sure there's a couple of them.
Yep.
He said, "Yup."
Yep. 100%.
Definitely a couple of them.
Yep.
But in a dark moment, what gets you to say, just look up and just keep going? Because some people don't get out of those dark moments. We have some tragic situations out here. So what encouraged you to say, you know what, I'm in this dark place, and I gotta come out of it?
To be honest with you, and it may be, cliche, or it may be, but it's my kids, because, I want them to understand what work is really like. And my biggest thing is, I also don't want them to think that it's perfect either. Right. So, it's good for you to go through those moments, and then it's also good to share with them those moments of what you're going through, and then show them how you can overcome them as well. And I tell them all the time, life is not easy, man. Like, what you see on commercials and social media is not real. It's not real. Everybody think, right? I mean, I'm gonna go on TikTok and be an influencer, make $1 million. It's not real. Right. It's like stop looking and stop feeding your mantra with that. Like, just understand that life is not easy. And, that's what gets me through things, because there's days sometimes when I'm like, man, maybe this ain't it. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I have, an opportunity that falls through, or, I have, and it's not to sound conceited, but very rare. But if I have a client that's not happy, or, because it happens, I'm not perfect, right? And a lot of times that happens because people don't understand what PR really is. Even though you try to explain to them what it is, they still don't want to get it, which is fine. But then it brings you back in that dark place and saying, you know what? Maybe I need to rethink things. Maybe I need to rethink things. But then if I do that and I give up, what's that message I'm showing to the kids that live with me right now, that are just getting started, 16, 18, 23, graduates, still trying to find their way, right? So what does that show them? And that's why I love to be able to go through that, and then have, kind of like a table talk with them. Be like, listen, I apologize. Maybe you see daddy kind of down in the dumps a little bit, but this is why. This one goes, and now this is what I'm going to do to get out of it. So they're my fuel to continually get through all those dark places.
Love it. Dr. Regina, my mental health coach, added, I think we all have those days where we question ourselves. And you also have a question from Dr. Tilda. She said, what is one simple starter step to build up visibility? She switched back to PR, which is fine. I said next question, so that's
easy. One word: consistency. Unfortunately, too many people think that they can leave and go away and leave and go away. If you want to remain visible, you have to be consistent, right? So if you are, you own your own company, and you can't, every other week your website can't be down, or you can't have a blog to where you post once every 6 months. You can't be, you can't run a sale and then all of a sudden the sale falls off. If you're a business owner, if you are a coach, fantastic. Well, give people some value, right? And if you don't give consistent value, then you're never going to be visible, because you have to understand, and I know what visibility means. A lot of people think visibility is just social media, which is fine, right? If we could just talk about that for a second. Well, social media has algorithms. And if you don't post with consistency, if you don't have brand consistency, if you don't have identity consistency, guess what? You're going to fall in that cesspool of all these, incredulous little comments, and you're never going to become visible because nobody's going to really know who you are. But if you do it consistently and you keep the same message, you'll always be visible in so many different platforms. So you just have to stay consistent. That would be my first step. Stay consistent with whatever you do.
Love it. That goes part of it. Actually, that's a good question because think about it. Being consistent even falls back to our topic, resilience.
Yep.
Okay, because even
100%.
if you have a moment where you may have to fall off, or you have to take a break. For example, myself, you have to take a break. Still getting back up there. You may have to try to build momentum up again and stuff, but it's, again, just still keep going. Because sometimes trying to be consistent, like you said, Tony, life happens. And I even put a post today, life be lifing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, when things happen, like I want to be consistent, but oh my goodness, here we go again. Okay.
But here's the thing with that, not to interrupt you, but here's the thing that everybody knows. Yeah. I love what you said, because when you think about it, right? If you are consistent and say you're consistent for a year and a half, and then life does happen, instantly somebody goes, man, something must be wrong. But if you're right. But if you're not consistent, they don't even know. They're figuring, maybe they're just taking, they're going off and they're not doing this or doing something else. Stay consistent. That's what I'm saying. Consistency is one of the biggest keys, man. One of the biggest keys.
Woo, Tony, that was good.
It's true though. It's so true. Consistency is, I rule Rise and React Media with 3 C's. It's consistent, it's credible, consistent content. So you have to have credible content, you have to have consistent content, and you have to actually have content, right? So not only are you making that content, it needs to be consistent, but it also needs to be credible. If you stick to those 3 C's, I'm telling you, trust me, everything will be visible and the stars will align. 100% will.
I'm putting this in there for them. Credible, consistent. I spelled consistent wrong.
That's all right.
Consistent content.
Yeah, it's literally the 3 C's, man. I've been standing by that for 15 years. It hasn't let me down yet.
Credible, consistent content. All right, we put that across the board. I don't want to take around while I put that there.
Yeah, because listen, you could have consistent content. It may not be credible though. Right? Nobody may not believe in it. Nobody may, you need to be credible. So keep it credible, keep it consistent, and keep creating that content.
Love it, love it, love it. All right. Y'all didn't know y'all was getting some of this too. We're just gonna hear his testimony.
Right. That's why you ask questions. You never know what kind of answers are going to develop, right?
Didn't know you're getting all this as well. But before we head on out, I'm actually gonna give him the floor. Okay, I'm gonna mosey on down. Oh, we got another comment. Hold, another question. Love those 3 C's. Yes, that's how I put it up there. Love it, love it, love it. And I will put it out there. We'll talk about this after after you do your 2 to 3 minutes. But I am gonna step aside and I'm gonna let Tony have the floor just to encourage you all. Again, if you are a person who just needs a little encouragement, you feel like throwing it in a towel, tune in. I'm sure he has something he wants to share with you for the next few minutes, and then we're going to wrap up and have a few more things to talk about, and that's going to be our end of our night. Go ahead, Tony.
So first of all, I love this platform, not just because Shanae is a client, she is a friend, but just the whole platform of allowing us to all share our stories and learn from one another, because that's what this really is, right? It's all about learning from one another. And I will say I've built my brand on transparency and authenticity. And if anybody's watching this and want to know where you can get started and what the road is to get to where I'm at, I started late, man. I started at 30 years old. I'm 45, 15 years, right? And when you talk about sports media, if we want to just talk about that for a second, it took me 7 years of knocking doors down, 7 years to actually collect a little paycheck from sports media, and I took a ton of no's. People told me I was too old. People told me I didn't have the face for TV. People told me all kinds of things, and that was okay. Never let it get me down. I just kept going and kept going and kept going. Guess what? Because I kept being credible and consistent. Listen, just 3 weeks ago, I just signed a deal with the Delaware Blue Coats to where they are an NBA G League affiliate team where, we had a, discussion and they were like, yo, let's do something. And now I'm creating content for the Delaware Blue Coats. And, I had a press release go out in the NBA. So I don't say that to brag. I say that because you can do it no matter what, but you have to stay authentic and you have to stay transparent. And I say that because of this. Number one, if you're going to be in any kind of industry, people are going to look up your background, who you are, what you normally do, what kind of points you make, what kind of posts that you do, what kind of people you work with, right? So I say this all the time. I'm no skeletons in my closet. What you see, I'm wearing an Abercrombie hoodie right now. I have a sports background. It's blurred up because I'm doing a little rework right now. But if you saw me tomorrow, guess what I'd be wearing? Probably a Champion hoodie with some Air Force Ones and some jeans or some Aero pants. It's just, I'm authentic. That's who I am. I'm not changing, right? What comes out of my mouth and what comes into my head shouldn't be judged on what I wear. So I'm just who I am, right? I tell people that all the time because I don't want people to say, if I see him out, he's completely different than when I hear him with a microphone. And transparency, the last thing I'll say, transparency will always win out, especially in the PR media world, right? So if somebody says to me, hey, can you do this? No, I can't. Like, I'm not going to say, yes, I can absolutely do that. No, if I have a question, I don't guarantee anything, but I'm transparent in the simple fact that it's not easy. I will try my best, but I can't give you any guarantees. But guess what? I know somebody that does, who I created a relationship with, that I'm going to refer you to. Because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. I will say this. I could go on for hours, and Shanae's would kill me if I did. But last thing I will say is never, ever, ever, my last word of advice, never turn down a conversation. Never. Make time for conversations. It doesn't matter, young, old, what industry, make time because you never, ever, ever, ever know where that conversation is going to take you. So again, Tony Cotillo, Rise and React Media, never turn down a conversation and never give up. Keep knocking your own doors down. Don't let other people knock them down for you. Knock your own doors down and you'll get more respect and you'll always be successful.
You all, I'm smiling from.
I'm sorry. I could have went on even longer. I apologize.
I love from Dr. Tilda to this. Okay, I think the last 2 weeks, even though we didn't do the last 2 weeks, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. Maybe we needed that break. But anyway, thank you, Tony, so much for joining me. Can you stay on afterwards so I can talk to you?
What's that?
Right, we gotta talk. Y'all know, y'all like Shanae is so silly. Hey, Shanae shares. I'm sharing how I am, and like he said, be authentic. Y'all know this is my real self. But before we say see you later to Tony, how can they reach you? I do have your website at the bottom, but any other way they can reach you? Are you taking on any clients, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm always taking on clients. I rarely say no. And that's one tip of a good small business owner is to keep a really good network. I have a small team, but it can be big at any time. If I get, I don't turn down clients because I have people that I can bring in to do the work that follow my same methodology. So I'm always looking for clients. And the one thing I will say is I custom make campaigns. I don't list prices. You won't see prices on my website. You won't see, because guess what? Everybody needs something different. Could be small. It could be big. Who knows, right? But I like to work with everybody because, I understand that, money, listen, it's not easy, right? It's not easy. And I don't want to kill a relationship because maybe somebody needs something, right? And I want to be able to give that to them. So Rise and React Media, you can follow me on Instagram at Rise with Tony. You can follow me on, I say X now, Twitter, whatever it's called. Tony Cotillo, RRM. And listen, on the website, riseandreactmedia.com, there's a form on there. Contact us. And you will see that website. That's authentic. That's me. There's a picture of me, the way I work, my sports bat. That's who I am. There's a picture of my kid. If you zoom in, I mean, no bells and whistles here, Shanae. It's who I am. So I'd love to have a conversation. Cost you nothing. Like I said, cost you nothing to have a conversation. So you can get in contact with me anytime.
Thank you all. And if you didn't get that, you can contact me and I will refer you right to him. I know how to get in touch with him. All right.
You sure?
I know, right? Did I check that message? Yeah, I got to check that message. I'm joking. Thank you again, Tony and Dr. Tilda, if you're still on. Thank you as well. Tune in next week. We have Raymond Pretlor Lives. He gonna get me. Raymond Lives Pretlor, okay, and also Sam Mitchell, two more dynamic individuals. Then we're gonna take a break for the holidays, and then we're gonna right into season 2 with Leah Forney, and I will have some more promos for you so you can see who else is on in the month, of January. All right. And I'm so excited. So we're going to have a last minute goodbyes, and I'm going to say hello to a few people, and that is it. See you later, Tony, in a minute. You all, again, please, just share. Shanae shares, thank you for all your prayers. Like I said earlier, those of you who are contacting me during this time, and thank you for your support. I truly appreciate it. Please follow Shanae Shares on all social media platforms. Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter went out again, back in rotation yesterday. We are now at 1.9K. If y'all know how to do the math, that's 1,900. Okay, email subscribers, Okay, so I'm happy that Shanae Shares is back up, sharing those emails out. So let's keep that going. Again, thank you all for coming in and joining us this evening. And without further ado, remember this. Resiliency is key. Everyone have an awesome night.